Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Toxic recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Toxic recovery, yeah. Yeah. I'm sick of abusive, narcissistic relationships. Sick of emotional trips. Sick of the lies that roll off your lips. Play me like some type of script. Gaslight me to keep me in grips. Time to cut ties and quit with the snip. Ready to get on the path of toxic recovery. Trauma recovery, yeah. Toxic recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Toxic recovery, yeah. You said it was love and all of the above, but you wanna suffer, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Toxic recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. You said it was love and all of the above, but you wanna suffer. Trauma recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, guys. Yeah, today is a bit of a crazy one. We're going to be talking about Jay-Z and this situation right here. Of course, we're going to be coming from the perspective of the victim. Now, that's not to say that we're going to be completely biased in this. No, we're going to try and be as objective as we can, whilst still kind of supporting the victim as much as we can in this situation. So we're going to be talking about the love child allegation. We're just going to touch on this briefly because there were rumors going around about, him having a love child and him not wanting to claim that love child because he was, how can we say, he had been with that woman when she was underage. Now, I saw the interview with Tasha K where they went into all of the ins and outs of that situation. If you want to know more about that, go to that interview where she spoke to the son, the alleged son, the love child son, who basically said that, yes, the mother was underage. The mother's passed away now, so he's speaking on her behalf. And they said, yes, the mother was underage. However, she lied to Jay-Z about it and said she was of age. So now we can't really take that into consideration because the guy was lied to. What do you want? So from that point of view, I say, okay, we have to let that one slide in regards to him being with that underage girl because the underage girl said that she was of age. And from there, we've got nothing to go on. So we're going to drop that bit. But in this interview, the alleged son did say, oh no, the guardian of the son, who now has taken it on full time to try and get Jay-Z to admit to being the father, said that she was sued by Jay-Z. It got really ugly, unnecessarily sued, but it was not justifiable what he did. He took £31,000 of her money, cashed the check. Yeah, actually cashed the check. And all of that stuff. So if you want to know more about that, go over there and check that out. We're also going to be talking about the red flags of the powerhouse machine. That is JC's defense, right? We're going to be talking about that. Again, we're going to look at it from being as neutral as we can. Guys, if you like what I'm saying, give this video a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts about what I'm saying in the comments. I don't mind the pushback. Okay? As long as it's about what we're talking about, okay? Right. And also, if you want to add information in, that is also okay. As long as, again, we're not going off onto another location. Let's stay in this zone. All right. So we're going to be talking about the red flags of his powerhouse that are defending him using toxic, narcissistic, and abusive tactics. That's what we're going to get into today. Why? So that we can see this behavior from all perspectives, from all angles, how the media do it, how the guy that you might be dating does it. We have to look at it from all angles and we need to be able to recognize it from all angles. So that is why we're talking about this now. Right. So let's get started. Right. Next. So the first red flag, everybody knows about this one. So I'm not going to spend too long. In fact, I've got a video where he basically, the person just summarizes the whole thing. I'm not going to get into it too much because there's been a lot on social media about this, which really does just basically tell it. Basically, the statement reeked of Darvo and manipulation. Darvo meaning deny, attack, reverse victim, and accuser. That is what Darvo stands for. Narcissists do this a lot. Abusers will do this a lot. And it is used in the court of law a lot. Okay? So if any of you are thinking, well, court of law is the justice system, they use this technique in the court of law. Okay? It's known to be done. It's a known tactic. This isn't just me making it up. Right. So in this statement, which was apparently written by him at home, which I definitely do not agree. I do not believe happened. I do not believe he sat down at home without any legal assistance and wrote this and posted it out. No, because we've got to look at the most likely situation. Right. So Jay-Z spends a lot of time curating his image. Right. Jay-Z and Beyonce. Why on God's green earth would something as important as this would he sit down at his desk alone and write this for himself? If you ask me, it's one of those PR stunts that they do. Like, remember when Diddy was in his home talking about his heartfelt, experience and denying the whole Cassie situation? Kind of like that. This is what I think this is. This is let's write something that looks as though it's spontaneous and personal from you, but actually has all the things that we need to say. And if the public don't buy it, then we can just say that you're emotional. This is what I think this was, right? So throughout this, he's like implied denying, but he didn't actually deny it clearly, right? He did the double bluff to gain credibility. So he was basically like, well, if this is such a horrible accusation, why would you go to civil court? Why wouldn't you go to criminal court? That's what I would expect. And basically challenging the other person, Busby, to take him to criminal court, knowing full and well that if that was possible because of the statute of limitations, we don't even know if that's possible, right? But even if it was possible, he knows that he would literally slay them in a criminal courtroom. Why? Because SA is the hardest thing to prove in a court of law anyway, full stop. Right? One of the hardest things to prove in a court of law and has the lowest conviction rate of all things. But now you're going to try and convict him for something he did 20 years ago? How likely is it that that's going to actually happen? He knows this. He knows this. He would love to go to into criminal law, into a criminal courtroom, because then he can have it thrown out for whatever reason in there. Because there's no way someone is going to be able to prove an SA or R word that happened 20 years ago. There's just no way on God's green earth. So that double bluff is to gain credibility. For me, loses credibility, makes him lose credibility, because Jay-Z is not an idiot. He knows his way around the courtroom. He knows his way around the system. He knows that this is not a thing that could be done without the other person losing in some way, even if the statutes of limitations allowed it. So for me, I'm just like, why did you even say that? That's ridiculous. Now you're challenging them to do something they can't effectively do without losing. Right? Double bind situation. So anybody who's not aware of the system is going to be like, yeah, that sounds reasonable. But if you're aware of the system at all, that's nonsense. Right? So there's Darvo in there as well, reverse attacking Busby. So he does the brief implied denial because he doesn't want to come out straight out and deny it, because he doesn't know what the other person has. So if he comes straight out and denies it, and then they have something really, really powerful under the belt, then he's going to look like he absolutely did it, right? So he's not going to do that. He's tiptoeing around the situation of denial with implied denial instead. We know that the toxic, the narcissist, the abuser loves to do, narcissists in particular, love to do the implied denial. Therefore, they can say, well, I never said that. I never actually said, what I said was, and then spin it in a new direction. This is what they love to do, right? Then he's using the deflection. So he's attacking Busby and using the attack on Busby to shift from the accuser. Right. So he mentions the accuser briefly, but doesn't go into too much about that, because he knows that attacking the accuser in the way that he is doing Busby is not going to work in his favor with the public. He knows this. He's PR genius number one, right? He knows this. So now he's going to deflect. He's going to attack the credibility of the lawyer, which is another thing that they do. Narcissists and abusers will always do that. They will always attack your credibility if they don't have an argument for the thing that they're accusing you of. They would always do that. Guys, if you've ever been with a narco abuser, tell me I'm lying. Tell me if this has not happened to you in an actual relationship whereby they were like, how do you know? So where did you get that from? How do you know that's a credible source? Blah, 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 blah. Listen, the accusation is the accusation. Can we go ahead and deny it? Or come up with something that actually has concrete evidence to disprove the accusation? No, we're just going to go into breaking the other person's credibility down. Got it. Then he goes into the emotional manipulation, which is what he basically does when he talks about Beyonce, the family, his kids, and how they're going to suffer and blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to play the video short, just a short TikTok video of someone reading out the whole thing so that those of you who missed it just by chance can get a gist of what he actually said. All of it's, I think it reeks of I'm guilty and I'm a manipulator, personally. But so that's red flag number one for me. That whole personal statement, non-personal statement, which with all of these tactics just packed within it. Let's listen.
He said, my lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer.
Again, here, the blackmail attempt. It was not a blackmail attempt. It was a demand letter, which is due process when it comes to the legal situation. So he's already attacking and reframing things in a way that sounds good if you don't understand the system, which most of the public don't understand the legal system. So he thinks he can get away with this. So straight out the gate, he's misleading the public, lying by misleading implication, right, and omission. Forgetting to tell you that this is due procedure. Like, why are you even talking about this, mate? Why? What's your point? Right? Let's keep going.
Lawyer named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud that you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these type of theatrics. I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you, A
pattern of such theatrics based on what? Where's your evidence for this? Again, these are empty accusations just thrown out there. First, he's blackmailing. Now he's got a pattern of this type of thing. But we've got, come on.
I have seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims, and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My heart and support goes out to true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability.
I cannot stand this. I hate it when they say my heart goes out to the victims. Can you stop doing that? All the people that are accused, hearts always go out to the victims. I can't. Like, don't mention the victims. It's manipulation in itself. Don't mention victims of SA when you're defending yourself against SA. Especially when there's a question mark next to your name. That's ridiculous. What are you talking about? Leave the victims out of it. You're trying to get victims on side. Absolutely not. This is a manipulation and an exploitation of the victims just by mentioning it. It's got nothing to do with victims in the world. And I don't hear you mentioning and campaigning about them at any other time apart from, and this goes for all celebrities, they all do this. Apart from when they're accused, they never campaign or are supporting victims at any other time. But when they're accused, their heart goes out to victims. Please shut up. Please actually shut up. It irritates me. If you watch any of my other videos about this type of thing, it irritates me so much when I hear this. When I hear this, I also hear you're guilty and you're trying to manipulate. But let's keep going.
By this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't...
Again, trying to play the underdog. You're not the underdog. You're a billionaire, mate. You're a billionaire. You're not an underdog. You may have started in the streets of Brooklyn, but you are far from that right now. Right? Please stop.
Play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for...
You may have not played those kind of games when you were in the streets, which was all of how many years ago? That may have been your code of conduct. But right now, in present day, you be playing some games. Okay? So we don't need to talk about what used to happen. because we are now in the present moment when you are being accused of SA. So can he actually get into the present moment with this statement? That'd be great.
Personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me that, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. I look forward to showing you just how different I am.
So he's going to show him just how different he is. This is a veiled threat. Guys, I didn't have time to, very much a veiled threat right here. All the emotional manipulation around the family and all of that stuff, deflection. We're not talking about Tony Busby. I don't know why half of this statement was about him. What's going on, right? So in all of that, absolutely not. Right there, I'm like, so you're guilty. Okay, got it. So moving on from that, red flag number one. Then we had, what was shocking to me is how quickly the media came in to support his statement, which was manipulation one-on-one. But they all swooned in to support this statement, and straight away, that's when I scheduled this and put up the thing about the wheels of powerhouse wheels being in motion, because straight away, it's like they're deaf, dumb, and blind. So I'm going to get into that now. Bear with me whilst I get up the videos for a minute, because I didn't really have time to do that before. So that's one. No. I'm not going to go back to that. Forget it. It's done. I missed it. Moving on. 3. Three.
Totally target. It is a new. All right. Did you?
Bear with me, guys. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what I'm saying here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments whilst I'm pausing to basically upload all of these videos here. Maybe I won't load them. Upload
Jay-Z, I've met him a few times.
Well, let's get these 3 up, and then we'll talk about it, and we'll pause and get the rest of them up. I'm sorry I didn't get to do this earlier, but technical
allegations.
All right, let's move back to this one. So, first one.
Jay-Z is now being accused of raping a 13-year-old.
Oh, we know this bit. Let's move to the bit where
are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man.
We know this.
Different I am. Criminal defense attorney Jay-Z said in his statement is that this was a civil suit filed against him, and he said these allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one, essentially saying if I really did these things, treat me the way I should be treated. So how should...
So here we go. Here he goes. This is where they kind of like support his nonsense, because if you had half a brain, you'd know that's not actually a viable thing for the defense to do. But here are mainstream people going, wow, yeah, that's fantastic. I think that's a viable thing. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then she goes, how should we think about this? Listen to her choice of words.
We be thinking about all of this. What do you think? Treat me the way I should be treated. So how should we be thinking about all of this? What do you think?
Well, that's some denial from him. And, sometimes celebrities have pretty muted denials, like, I'm not going to comment now, or I direct all questions to my lawyers. I actually admire the strength of the denial.
It wasn't strong. He didn't deny it. He implied denial. There was no strength of denial there. He danced around the accusation. He implied that he was innocent through making accusations that aren't actually possible. That wasn't a strong denial. Anyway, let's keep going.
I think that at this point, there's no objective indicia of reliability to this complaint. Now, obviously, things are going to play out and we're going to end up learning more. But if you look at it on its face, it's a 24-year-old complaint. Very significantly, he was not named in the lawsuit in the first instance when it was filed. The girl was allegedly 13 at the time it happened, and in the complaint it says that she had been given something and she was quote unquote woozy. And so I think that this just needs to be looked at in kind of a measured way. Unlike the media is treating some people in the media, Pete Hegseth being one of them, where they automatically hear an allegation and they run with it. I think that this needs to be treated in a measured type of way. We don't need...
So media being you Okay, right? Do you hear what's going on now? So she's basically going, oh, people hear accusations and they just run with it. Well, no, they listen to people like you telling them not to run with it, which is what is happening here.
Knee-jerk societal reactions. Anybody can make allegations against somebody, and people who are rich and famous are particularly targets. And so obviously I don't know what happened, but I think it just needs to play out, and you know, we need to give him the benefit of the doubt at this point.
Well, that's what Tony Busby is saying. And so this federal lawsuit was originally filed in October. So interesting that we're only learning about this now. And then
again,
Tony Busby responded to Jay-Z's statement by writing this on X.
It's a discredit to say, oh, it was filed in October, but we haven't heard about it till now. Do you see these subtle little digs to say, well, it's not credible, without saying that it's not credible? This is what they're doing. Don't jump to conclusions. I think we should hear things out. I think he gave a strong defense, even though his defense was heavily and highly manipulative. This is what the mainstream was saying. And they completely overlooked the veiled threat. They overlooked the double challenge there, where he basically says to do something that they can't do. And they overlooked the veiled threat. But that's okay, apparently. All of that is okay.
Since I sent the letter on her behalf, meaning the defendant, Mr. Carter has not only sued me, but he has tried to bully and harass me and this plaintiff. We will let the filing speak. All right, did you hear about this? Rapper and music mogul Jay-Z is now being accused.
We'll hear some more about that in a minute. So the next person, that was, I think that was, I can't remember what news, Fox News.
Never come out and talk like this about his own life.
Here's Piers Morgan.
Jay-Z, you know, I've met him a few times. He doesn't ever come out and talk like this about his own life, ever. So for him to do this is pretty unprecedented. There is a development while I've been talking.
Did he have a choice? I'm confused. You're saying it as though he had a choice to do it, and then he just went. He didn't have a choice. If he didn't say anything, the public would have been an absolute uproar and accused him of being guilty from the beginning. So let's not pretend like this was a voluntary act.
Talking to you, he's filed to dismiss the civil rape lawsuit that was amended to include his name. In his filing on Monday, his attorneys cite the earlier rulings
and it was amended to include his name. So she filed it before. She didn't include names. It was an unknown person number 2. So both of them were unknown. We still have an unknown celebrity number 3 that isn't named. But nobody's talking about that. But they're using that to say, well, you know, she didn't mention him before, but she's mentioning him now, which means it's not credible. This is what they're implying when they say that. However, unmarked, unknown named person number 3 is not relevant. They're not going to talk about that at all. Tell me, does that even make sense? Surely it should be not credible as well, because unknown person number 3 isn't mentioned, if we're going by that theory. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up. Let YouTube know that you like it, and subscribe and hit that bell so you get a notification every time I go live. Let's keep going.
Argue that Busby, the lawyer I alluded to earlier, and his accuser have not met any of the key requirements to litigate her case under a Doe pseudonym. In technical terms, he wants the judge to force her to reveal her name or dismiss the case entirely.
Right, so he then comes for the girl to say that you need to reveal yourself because I don't even believe that you're a real person, right? So he's putting on the pressure for this woman to reveal herself, which she shouldn't really have to do because this is an SA case. She shouldn't really have to do this. This is by law. This is the rightful protection of victims that he's calling her out of in order to prove that she has a case at all. That's what's happening. So they put in these stipulations to protect victims when they go to court, and he's actively saying, no, you can't do that. You need to show yourself because I don't even believe you're a real person, which is a ridiculous point, but let's keep going.
What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, it's only fair, right? I mean, if you're going to drag someone through the mud and make this type of heinous allegation, I understand that if she is a true victim of sexual assault, that is horrible. And in a perfect world, she wouldn't have to reveal herself. But we're not.
What do you mean that is horrible and in a perfect world? The system, this part of the system is designed to protect victims. It's not in a perfect world. by law, it says that you do not have to reveal yourself in order to protect yourself from the onslaught of whatever might come your way, to protect you from further being traumatized. So it's not a case of, in a perfect world, you see how they're normalizing this and minimizing his request to pull her out into the open so that his fans and the beehive can literally drag her for filth. This is what he's hoping for, so that then she'll be so scared of his fans and the beehive that she'll be quiet. This is a way of silencing and intimidating her. But do you hear how they're, like normalizing this? Like, in a perfect world, a person wouldn't have to do this. It's not as simple as in a perfect world. The protection is set up so that victims are protected. And she's completely dismissing that. It's ridiculous to me. And this is mainstream media influencing millions of people into believing that, well, yeah, fair is fair. Fair is fair if you're going to talk about something random. But if you're talking about SA, that's not how that works, sweetheart.
Not in a perfect world. We're in a courtroom. We're in a lawsuit. So I think fairness dictates that she should have to reveal herself. And I've seen commentary from...
Fairness dictates. Again, if you don't have an understanding of the system, you would be like, yeah, that's fair. Do you see how this manipulation is going on? Fairness dictates. On one hand, she's correct. Fairness does dictate certain things. But on the other hand, with a system that is put in place in order to keep things fair, telling her to come out of that shelter isn't actually fair. But okay, we'll move on.
People saying, why didn't he just get rid of this? Well, this isn't a Pete Hegseth situation where the accuser is essentially saying, you raped me. He's saying that she didn't.
Again, we're doing some objection handling here. This is not a straight up and down conversation. What they've done, if they've taken things from what people have said and now they're answering it for them. You're going to hear more of this later. This is a manipulation. So now she's explaining why they didn't just pay it off and get rid of it if he's innocent, right?
Well, this isn't a Pete Hegseth situation where the accuser is essentially saying, you raped me. He's saying that she didn't. And it's not necessarily criminal conduct in and of itself. He can't silence somebody who said that he raped her when she was 13. And I can't believe that anybody would actually say something so preposterous. If you're accused of that, you can't pay them, as he said, one red penny, or this not only will continue to happen, but when it comes out in years that you actually paid someone off for their silence, even if you did it to protect the family and Blue Ivy, who he alluded to in his statement, you just can't do that with an allegation like that.
I mean,
I think he probably could do that. I'm not sure. I think that he probably could do that. If they offered a payoff, he could probably do that. They're not offering that to him. They are wanting, do you know what I mean? They're wanting to take it to court. They're not offering a private settlement to him. So him saying he's not going to pay him a red penny doesn't even make sense anyway, because no one was offering that in regards to a settlement, right? As far as I know.
damaging for Jay-Z is that despite his extraordinary statement, this has gone around the world. It's been
Extraordinary statement, extraordinarily manipulative statement. What do you mean extraordinary statement? Again, it's ridiculous, the defense that these people, the language that is being used. And if you hear it enough times and you don't have enough information about what's going on or information about the systems that they're operating within, you're going to be like, well, yeah, I guess it was a bit, he did defend it. No, he didn't. It was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous statement.
leading bulletins and excuse me, of a bad case of man flu, which I'm sure you have no sympathy for, Lexi.
That's right.
But it's gone around the world, hasn't it? And mud sticks. I mean, there's no question. I mean, he's been emphatic in his denials, both when he denied
Emphatic?
what was said about him on this show, and also now, obviously, what's come out in this lawsuit. But there's a lot of negative stuff around Jay-Z right now, which is clearly damaging to him.
Yeah, and I think there's like a famous quote from someone who was acquitted, and he said, all right, where do I go to get my reputation back?
Right.
So obviously,
now we're talking about people who have been acquitted from things. Again, this is all, if you put it all together, at the end of it, you will get the message, even without registering that, you're going to get the message that, do you know what, he's innocent and he's been wrongly done by. This is what they're pushing in under the guise of, we're just having a conversation. They're not just having a conversation.
We're not talking about acquittal in the criminal sense here. I don't know if it will ever get to that. But, you know, this has got to have probably ruined Thanksgiving for his family and a significant period of time where he's sitting and waiting for this to come out. He had also sued the lawyer.
There's more emotional manipulation going on. This has probably ruined their Christmas. This is ruining the perpetrators' Christmas, life, children. What about the alleged victim? Because if he did do it, like, he would have ruined her entire life and she would be struggling with trauma symptoms up to today from that, most probably. Okay, so what about that? We're not going to talk now. We're just going to talk about a guy that was acquitted and how much of a inconvenience this allegation is for Jay-Z. Even though we're not saying he's innocent, we're just going to talk about the inconvenience that this is for him and his family, though. And we're going to talk about, you know, someone being acquitted in the past. Guys, give this video a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts about what I'm saying in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. What are your thoughts here? Come on, let me know. Let's talk.
For going after him for extortion for all of this. So this must have been a hellacious.
So again, they're pushing the extortion. They're going after him for extortion. They're pushing Jay-Z's narrative, you know, even though the demand letter is not blackmail or extortion, it's a demand letter. And I think even in the demand letter, they didn't ask for any money, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the demand letter, they didn't ask for any money. So again, blackmail and extortion are not things that have happened as a result of that demand letter. So again, they're pushing a false narrative for Jay-Z. And what is it? Not verifying it, making it credible. Because when something is spoken about in the mainstream as a collective, it becomes credible information, even when it's not. And that's what they're doing.
Few months having to deal with this, but we saw this. I mean, social media was alight. There was a lot of chatter basically saying Beyonce's next, Jay-Z's next, all the people in her inner circle is next. And as I tell my son, you got to be careful who you hang out with, because this is the type of thing that happens. Because even if he is nose clean innocent and all he was is friends with Diddy.
Another theory about him being innocent. No theories about him being guilty, but another one about him being innocent. And even if he was nose clean innocent, the fact that he was with Diddy makes people think as though that's not a logical thought to have.
Now he's embroiled in this scandal just because of his association with him.
Yeah, Jay-Z, you know, I've met him a few times. He doesn't.
So now he's in this because of his association with Jay-Z, not because a woman came out and directly accused him of SA. No, it's because of his association with Diddy. Again, I need you to make this make. Do you see how they're reframing things? It's like, oh, because Diddy got some accusations that he was with him. Now he's in this mess. No, you missed out the bit when the person actually came out and accused. But we'll get to that, because we'll get to the inconsistencies in her story. Don't worry, we're going to talk about that too. Don't worry. Now let's look at the last media bit.
In the U.S. tonight, the bombshell.
Again, this is where they talk about
allegations against husband. In the U.S. tonight, the bombshell allegations against Jay-Z. A civil lawsuit now accusing him and Sean Diddy Combs of raping a 13-year-old girl more than 20 years ago. Tonight, Jay-Z vehemently denying the accusations and calling on the accuser to reveal her identity. Here's Lindsay Davis.
Tonight, rapper Jay-Z is firing back against allegations that he sexually assaulted a then 13-year-old with Sean Diddy Combs after the 2000 VMAs. The newly amended civil lawsuit, originally filed by a Jane Doe in October, now identifies celebrity A as Jay-Z, whose legal name is Sean Carter, claiming that he and Diddy drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl at an after-party, and that a female celebrity stood by and watched as Combs and Carter took turns assaulting the minor. Combs and Jay-Z, who were both 30 at the time, were in attendance at the award show that year. Combs has previously denied all allegations. And today, Jay-Z filed to dismiss the lawsuit, calling it a cynical and calculated campaign to force payment of an exorbitant sum of money. The rapper vehemently denies the allegations, taking direct aim at the plaintiff's attorney, Tony Busby, writing, "What he has calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle," noting concern for his wife, music icon Beyonce, and their 3 children who are 12 and 7 years old. "My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims." Attorney Tony Busby is standing his ground, writing, "I won't be bullied or intimidated. People will see through this effort to discredit me and my clients, and the truth will be revealed."
And Lindsay Davis with us now, Jay-Z, with requests of his own tonight.
Yes, David, in that motion to the court, Jay-Z is asking the allegations either be dismissed entirely or that the identity of the anonymous accuser be disclosed, adding, "Fair is fair."
Lindsay Davis in the U.S. tonight, the bombshell allegation.
Okay, so that's them again pretending as though him asking a victim or demanding that a victim reveal himself is an acceptable thing to do. That's ridiculous. So again, they're supporting this. This just echoes them supporting whatever nonsense that he comes up with. So that is the mainstream media defending Jay-Z under the guise of open conversation and just observation. Do you see how they overlook certain things and play up other things? The last one wasn't so bad, but these two, awful, awful. These two were awful. The last one, not so much. Next, let's go into red flag number 3, which was the attack of Busby. Now, if you watch Tisa Tells, you would know a lot of this information already. If not, we'll go into it a little bit, but I recommend you go over there for the full scope of the situation, right? So they're attacking Busby. They're attacking the credibility of the lawyer. Now, narcissists and abusers will do this all the time, like I said. They attack credibility rather than defend themselves. Tisa Tells, blackmail extortion claims. Again, this is reversing victim and offender. But rather than using the reverse of the victim, actual victim, he's actually reversing it, making himself the victim against Busby rather than the victim against the accuser. Because he can't do that. He can't turn around and be like, well, the 13-year-old raped me. That doesn't work. So instead, he's going for the extortion and the blackmail. That literally didn't happen. It was due process, right? Now, there are some ugly things that came up about Busby, though. And though they're ugly, I still say that a lot of it is irrelevant. Like Busby, they say that Busby was actually accused of abusing his ex-girlfriend, which doesn't surprise me, to be honest. That's probably very likely. The guy was a Marine. The Marine are the worst of the military when it comes to physical violence and DV against their spouses. The worst of the lot. So that's probably likely. However, I don't see how that proves that Jay-Z didn't essay the 13-year-old. Again, the dots are not connecting for me. Again, relevant in regards to the character that he is in his personal relationships. However, you can't say because this person was an SAer in his an abuser in his relationship, I didn't do what I did. Make that make sense. It doesn't. Again, this is not proof you didn't do it. Next one, he was alleged to have given his ex the herp. Again, that's not great. That's awful character. It's actually illegal in some places to knowingly give someone that stuff. I get it. Along with the AB, not great. It's not. I'm going to say worse than not great. That's disgusting behavior. Apparently, he did some things that were awful to his ex-girlfriend. So I'm not minimizing that at all. But I'm saying that does not prove that Jay-Z did not SA this 13-year-old 20 years ago. Him giving his ex-girlfriend herp does not prove that Jay-Z didn't SA his girlfriend 20 years ago. Right? Again, this shouldn't even be, I think this was in the legal documents. Why is this in the legal documents? This shouldn't even be there. This is a mark of apparently Busby's character. Okay, he's a disgusting character. Got it. Now, back to the point at hand. Did you SA the 13-year-old? Because we haven't got much on that. We haven't got much on your defense for that. Okay? Although I'm not sure what his defense would be, to be honest, for something 20 years ago. I'm not sure what that would be. If I'm being completely honest and fair, I'm not sure what he could say to defend himself against something that happened 20 years ago at a party at some time to say that he didn't do it. I mean, was Beyonce there? Was he spending time with certain people? Who saw him? When did they see him? Can they backtrack to the, I don't know, 20 years is a long time to try and get an alibi together. To be fair, again, that's a hard thing to do. But even still, accusing Busby of giving his ex the herp and being her does not prove that you didn't do it. Now, the next one, shaky ground. Tisa Tells says that he was accused of tampering with evidence. This has not been proven. However, this one's relevant. This one is relevant because what he's saying, claiming, which we know that from his demand letter story was just absolute nonsense. But he's continuing to claim that this guy is just making up the story in order to extort him for cash and la, right? Now, he says that they say that Busby tampered with evidence when it came to defending his ex-girlfriend against her husband in a court when it came to their divorce. So basically, he was having an affair. Busby's married, this woman's married, and then she wanted to divorce her husband, and then she went to Busby, which I think is a conflict of interest anyway. So already we're going in the wrong direction, Busby, with that, right? And then apparently he tampered with the evidence to make sure that his herp situation and he didn't come up in the divorce claims. Now, whilst that is awful because he's a lawyer, he's not supposed to be tampering with anything. There's a code of ethics. Got it. It was a personal situation. This is not evidence of him. Now, I'm not justifying it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not justifying it. It's still proof that he will tamper with evidence. However, I need evidence that he tampered with something that wasn't directly connected to him and wasn't directly threatening his livelihood, which him being revealed as having an affair with that woman would if his wife found out, right? So I need another example. This is relevant, but I need more examples outside of a personal situation that he was trying to defend himself from. I need examples whereby he was tampering with evidence with people that have nothing to do with him. That's what I need, right? But yeah, that's not great. That's not great at all. But then we have evidence that Jay-Z actually paid people to sue Busby. Busby has video evidence of this whole conversation. So this isn't we think in theory that Jay-Z's kind of doing things to attack Busby. This is literal video evidence of him paying people up to £10,000 to file a law case against Busby for whatever trumped up charge that they were doing. This is what Jay-Z was doing. Video evidence to corroborate. Go over to Tisa Tells to find out more about that. So all of this is going on behind the scenes. First, they're accusing him of blackmailing, extortion, then AB and Herb and this and that. And then we find out that actually they're also paying people behind the scenes to sue Busby to further discredit him as a lawyer for the public. Because if they know that if these cases come out, guess who's going to report about it? All of these social media platforms that have already been turning a blind eye to his nonsense. are going to report it and be like, oh my God, Busby's in court for this and that and the other. And all of us in the public are going to be like, wow, Busby really is a no good, blah, 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 blah. Maybe Jay-Z is, maybe he did make it up. Maybe he did da, 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 da. Do you see where I'm going with this? They do a lot of back alley dealings that come up, that they know will come up to the surface naturally and be represented by the media in a certain way. And again, there were stories of influencers actually being approached as well to speak of the Jay-Z situation in a particular way that I guess falls in line with the mainstream social media, the mainstream news feed. They want influencers repeating this stuff because that's why they're called influencers. Because they influence and they want the public to be influenced in a certain way. This is all a Jay-Z. This is all Jay-Z at the moment, right? Guys, give this video a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts so far in the comment section. Why is this saying private chat? Oh, here we go. I couldn't even see it before. Okay, let's put that back. Okay, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think so far about what I'm saying here about the manipulation and the tactics being used here? Because they're very clear. So they're attacking, again, Busby. Then they go on to attack. I think, wait a minute. We got a few more. Hang on, bear with me a moment. So we're there. Media feed. Here we go. Let's get these up. 6, 7. I'm going to put 6, 7, and 8. And then we're done.
Tony Busby.
All right. Oh, hang on. Ooh. I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to put the next one up. 6, 7.
He's upset. He's upset.
Next one. 6, 7. And then we've got news from the Breakfast Club. They also got involved in the gaslighting, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's go back over here. All right. So here's what Busby had to say after the first allegations. I don't know what he said after this one because this is most recent stuff. But after the first statement came out with the allegations, here's what he had to say.
To Jay-Z denying the allegations, stating that he will not be bullied or intimidated and he is not going to back down. Tony is claiming that Jay-Z and his team have been threatening and harassing Tony and his family, as well as following them home. Tony is also stating that the alleged victim never demanded any money, but that she was only seeking a confidential mediation. Tony said that not only has Jay-Z sued him, but he has also bullied and harassed him as well as the plaintiff, an attempt to silence her, but that it has only had the reverse effect and that his client refuses to be silenced. He's also claiming that Jay-Z and his team have aggressively attempted to harass his kids and reach out to his former clients and encouraging them to sue Tony. He's also claiming that his employees have been harassed and Jay-Z has had people allegedly come to his employees' homes and threaten them. Tony said in regards to the filings, well, that'll speak for itself in court and not in the media.
Okay, so how likely do you think that is? Based on what we know so far about these allegations and all of these things they've done to try and discredit Busby publicly and tarnish his name and all of that and pay people to actually file legal proceedings against him, how likely do you think it is that he's also been harassing the family and all the other things that Busby said? Let me know in the chat. How likely? Give me a 1 if you think is very likely and a 2 if you don't think is likely at all. Let me know. We're going by most likely here because we don't have a definite, right? So what do you think is most likely? Let's move on to the next one. The next is the attack on the victim dressed up as fair journalism. This was crazy. They are still talking about it now. They are still talking about this now, okay? Let's get into it. So I'm not going to play the video. I'm not going to play it's here, but I'm not going to play it. I was just going to keep going. Right. So guys, if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section. So the attack, like I said, dressed up as fair journalism, like they did with the first bit. It's the same sort of thing. So here. So the way she told the story, she told about, she spoke about Benji Madden, and she said basically he was at the VMAs and she was talking about his tattoo, and it was very detailed, right? Well, it turns out in 2000, they were not at the VMAs, they were on tour, right? Then father says that he doesn't remember picking her up from the gas station, which was the main argument, which is a key point in her statement, saying that after the whole thing, after the essay and everything like that, she ran over to the gas station, she called her father, who picked her up. Father says she wasn't picked up. He doesn't remember her being picked up. Okay? The next thing is that the venue is miles away, a 5-hour car ride away from where the alleged victim lived. Right, so they were actually thinking how, because the woman, the victim was talking about it, sorry, the alleged victim was talking about it as though it was just a little ride, you know what I mean? But when we put 5 hours into it, it's not like a little ride, like it's a 5-hour ride and your friend dropped you off and then went off. How likely is that? You barely get these kind of rides to go to the airport, much less just going on a whim, right? So they questioned that. And then there was no place owned by Diddy in the area that she was talking about until 2004, right? So all of those things. And even I was like, okay, yeah, your fault. First of all, I didn't like the way that the father gave a statement when he didn't even need to. I was like, are you being paid off at this point? Because if you don't need to give a statement, why are you giving a statement? And if you do give a statement, why is that the statement? And what I mean by that is, why are you saying, I don't remember picking her up at the station? I think I would remember that. Without any kind of covering for her, like, you know what, she's autistic, she may have got it confused. No excuses whatsoever, just flat out, I don't remember. And remember, he doesn't have to give the statement. It's not mandatory. He doesn't have to do it. So right there, I was like, why would a father do that? Even if the daughter isn't telling the truth or may have got it mixed up or whatever, even if that is the case, why would he go out publicly against his daughter, say that it wasn't true, basically imply that it wasn't true, because he doesn't say that it wasn't true. He just said that. I don't remember picking her up. So again, implied, without covering her at all. Without saying, you know what, but she does get things mixed up sometimes, and you know what, bless her, whatever you need to say. He doesn't do any of that. It's just, I don't remember picking her up. I think that's something I would remember. Who does that as a father? So right there, I was like, are you being paid to say that? Because why would you volunteer that when you don't need to? And why would you volunteer it like that when you don't need to? Now, if it was mandatory and he had to say something, then that would give more credence to him giving the statement. Even then, I would ask why he would give this statement like that, but I would be like, okay, well, he had to. He didn't even have to. So what's happening? So I'm thinking either you're being paid off, you don't have a good relationship with your daughter, or something around that is in the statement right here. So I was just like, straight away with that statement. But then I had to think, well, I know that I know that victims of SA and DV, the trauma itself can cause you to have memory issues when it comes to times, dates, and sequences of events. However, I don't think it goes as far as to say that someone picked you up that didn't actually pick you up. I don't think it goes that far, right? So I was like, okay, it's not looking good for an alleged victim here, because I don't see how the trauma memory theory falls in line with what happened here, unless he was paid off. But if he wasn't paid off, then that just falls flat on your story. It doesn't hold any weight in regards to that, right? Man, I found out from Tisa Tells that the inconsistencies can be explained because here I'm thinking Benji Madden wasn't there and your father didn't pick you up. No, it's not looking good. I can't find a way to kind of explain that in a way from a trauma response point of view. But then I went over to Tisa Tells, and turns out she did a lot of digging because she's a person, if you want to know the facts about the situation, she's the person to go to. She's basically a journalistic researcher at this point, right? I don't know whether this is her official title, but yeah, she's got all the information, right? And she goes into detail. So here we find out from her that those dates that doesn't work if you're looking at 2000 and if you're looking at 2000. But if you're looking at 2003 VMAs, Benji Madden was there. Okay? And if you're looking at 2003 VMAs, we have to question where she was living. Was she living at the other address or had she moved closer to the situation? Because if she was closer to the situation, that would explain the 5-hour ride that probably didn't happen. That would explain her casual kind of like they dropped me off and went off type thing, right? Then we have the place not owned by Diddy until in the area until 2003 to 2004. However, he may have been renting it in 2003. Which makes sense with everything that was going on. Benji Madden was at the VMAs in 2003, okay? They may have moved, may not have, but may have moved in that time. Then Diddy did have, apparently, I think he was renting the place. I'm not sure. He had access to the place anyway, I think, in 2003. He didn't own it, but he had access to it in 2003. I think that's the way that it went. But then check that out. So that's that sorted. The father thing, the alleged victim said herself that he has cognitive issues of his own, right? They have arguments about him not remembering things. Apparently he's going through something. They don't know whether it's drug related or cognitive related, but if it's hug related, it would explain why he made this statement and gives more credence to him being paid off, right? If he's struggling with that kind of thing and someone offers you, say, £10,000, you're just going to do it, right? So that makes us think about that statement a bit differently, right? So you're thinking, well, yeah, but that's still the wrong date. Again, that falls in line with the memory issue because dates are a thing. Times things happened, dates things happen, the sequence of events that thing happened are things that are typically confused by victims due to the trauma of a situation. Typically confused when it happens in the moment, let alone 20 years ago. Right? So I think that's plausible. Like 3-year window, I think that's plausible. This cognitive dysfunction or this way memory issue can be made worse if you have if you're autistic or if you have any cognitive functional issues, which she does. So that's a layer. So with someone who's, I don't want to say regular, but you get what I mean, like just doesn't have any cognitive issues or autism, will have these kind of memory things. It's kind of like even worse with someone with these kinds of cognition issues, right? So we got to bear that in mind. But then on the flip side of that, we can look at it and say, well, if she has like cognitive and recognition issues, which is part of it, how do we know that she didn't just make this up? How do you know that it wasn't just a thing that she made up in her head and kind of like played out and believes because she's such a fan of Jay-Z? I mean, would you fantasize them R-ing her though? R-ing you in that fantasy? It's not making sense. Like maybe, you'd have a fantasy about baking cookies or marrying them or, you know what I mean, them falling hopelessly in love with you. But, like fantasizing about them essaying you is not a thing. That's not a thing, right? So I I just saw that all the way through. That's not even, yeah. Guys, give this video a thumbs up. If you like this video, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Also, you've got to understand that you think that people with disabilities would be less likely to be targeted. It's actually the opposite. They are more likely to be targeted because they have disabilities, because especially cognitive disabilities like this, because they're not credible as witnesses anyway, right? It makes it hard for them to come forward and say things because they have some disabilities anyway and be believed, right? So again, go to Tisa Tales if you want the full story where that's concerned. But her mix-up of the dates can be excused by, you know, memory issues and trauma, and also the autism. That's fair. Right, the father thing still has a question mark next to it, but if he's got cognitive issues and struggles with UGS himself, then it's a no-brainer that he would come out with something that nobody asked for. Nobody asked you. Nobody asked. And you don't have to say. It's a bit weird for me. That's a bit weird for me. But guys, let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what I'm saying. The next one. So that was the attack on the victim in order to, again, disprove the situation. But then my question is, why is it still going, like, who's doing why aren't people doing their research? Why is this not being presented as the argument to that? It's just going around social media like, she lied, there's inconsistencies, this, that, and the third. When if you just push it back 3 years, everybody was there. And it makes sense, right? So again, we don't know what's going to happen where that's concerned, or whether, you know, they're going to catch up with that. But you think that, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but you think that it will be thrown out if it's if there's so many inconsistencies, right? We wonder now why the case is going on. There's so many inconsistencies. It's just a lie. She's lying. And these are far out inconsistencies. So unless something is being revealed behind the scenes, which I believe they are, why is this case still going on? If this is the narrative right here, there's got to be more to it that isn't being said by the media, right? And I think it's got something to do with all of this right here that I've just explained. But let's keep going. Red flag number 5, the blatant lying and gaslighting from Jay-Z's lawyer himself. This one, he's attempting to attack the public's perception of reality. He's gaslighting the public with this whole Jay-Z and Diddy weren't friends. What are you talking about, sir? And this is a slippery slope, because here's the thing. If he can get the public to believe that they weren't friends, even though they have been buddy, chummy in each other's ear the entire time, the only people in the world outside of Diddy's mother can call him Sean, and that is Jay-Z, and vice versa. This is what they said to each other. They're that close that they are the only people in the industry. I'm sure that Beyonce calls him Sean, to be fair, but you know what I mean? From Diddy's point of view, the only person in the industry that can call him Sean is Jay-Z. This is public knowledge. It's been public knowledge for years that they are tight. But apparently, now we have to believe that they were just associates. Yeah, just, you know, they were just friends. They were just friends. Listen to this. Where does he say it? Here we go. Him coming, it's just ridiculous to me. Like, why would you even, like, you're blatantly lying. You are blatantly lying at this point and gaslighting. But here's the thing. He's not the only one doing it. Let's listen to him say this for a start. Let's listen to him say it.
He's upset. He's upset that somebody would be allowed to do this. They would make a mockery of the system like this. He's upset that this distracts and dissuades.
Make a mockery of the system like this. Nobody's making a mockery. There's been an accusation. You have to disprove it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Real victims from coming forward. He's upset that his kids, that this distracts and dissuades real victims from coming forward. He's upset.
Now, what distracts and dissuades real victims from coming forward is this powerhouse of people pushing the opposite narrative. That's what distracts from real victims coming forward, not a victim or alleged victim making an accusation. That's not what's distracting them. It's the media, reframe, the media attack, the legal attacks, which are deferring people or distracting people from coming forward. This is ridiculous.
That his kids and his family have to deal with this. He's upset, and he should be upset.
Will Mr. Carter say anything more specifically about Mr. Combs? He didn't really address him in his statement, but anything since outlets and internet speculation have tried to affiliate the two of them, he didn't really, in his statement, specifically say anything about any of the allegations.
I mean, Mr. Carter has nothing to do with Mr. Combs' case or Mr. Combs. They knew each other professionally for a number of years, just like in all professions. People know each other. At the music awards, they support each other.
No, don't normalize it. Here he goes trying to normalize and gaslight us into believing, well, they're just associates. You know, like when you work with someone and you're just friends at work? No.
If you go to the NBA All-Star game, they support each other. That's just how professions work. There is no closer association between any of them. That's also a matter of fiction. That's all.
Listen, if this is a matter of fiction, it's a matter of fiction that was created by the media. So again, which one is it? Were they friends, or were you lying to us about them being friends? Because none of those are good. Right? So here he is kind of like, but then he's trying to make it out like, well, nobody lied. You just came up with that in your own head. Absolutely. Tell me if you've never had a narcissist or abuser do this. This is the type of tactic they come up with. It's crazy. It's like, well, you've been presenting this whole thing this whole time, for example, like, you know, like they're in love with you, for example, like they want to marry you and all that. And then when you get on board, they look at you like you're crazy and like, what? I don't know where you came up with that. I don't know how you got to that conclusion, as though they hadn't been feeding it to you that entire time. What is this? A matter of fiction? A matter of fiction presented by whom, my friend? What is actually happening? This is ridiculous.
All that there is. He doesn't know anything about the charges or allegations against him. He has nothing to do with that case. And there's nothing more to say.
Now, I understand him trying to distance Jay-Z from the situation, but that was crazy. That was crazy. And the thing is as well, I say this is a slippery slope, because if he can get us to believe that what we saw was a fiction, a figment of our imagination, that we made this up in our own heads and made it more than what it was, the floodgates are open with whatever nonsense they want to ply in afterwards. The floodgates are open, because now you're going to be like, well, maybe the other thing I thought wasn't true either. So what you see with your own eyes doesn't count anymore. This is what narcissists and abusers do, and this is what this lawyer is doing right here. What you saw with your own eyes throughout this entire time, in real time, of them being besties, was not actually true. And again, if it wasn't true, that was made up by somebody, because it was fed to us like they were best friends. So again, you either lied about that or you lied about this. Either way, there's lying going on. And now you're gaslighting us about the lying that was done. Right, so there's that. Next. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and subscribe and hit that bell so you get a notification every time I go live. Next bit, the last bit. I thought that this one would be a humdinger. I thought that, you know what, he comes out with this and people are just going to be like, please shut up. I need you to actually shut up, right? But no, Guess what we saw? We saw the media backing this again. Places like the Breakfast Club, and I think mainstream media was on it as well, but the Breakfast Club was particularly interesting to me because what they did here was gaslighting and more of that objection handling that we saw earlier, right? This is objection handling. I want you to notice this because it's a very covert way of manipulating you into believing something, right? There's a gaslighting going on, and then again, the objection handling. I'm going to play it, and then we're going to talk about it. Let me go ahead. So after they run the tape of the lawyer saying that they were just friends, I mean, they weren't friends at all. This was the response from the Breakfast Club in the whole conversation. Now, I want you to notice how everybody corroborates this them not being friends thing at the end of it all. But they do voice the surprise and the thoughts that will be happening in the public's mind. But notice where it lands every single time. Watch.
You see people even working together. Doesn't mean they are friends. They are peers.
You trying to tell me up until this minute you never thought Jay-Z and Puff were actually friends?
Again, public thoughts being voiced out loud.
Outside of just like we make music together. Because that shocked me. When he said that, I said, oh, whoa. I thought that they were friends. I thought that Diddy and Jay-Z were friends. It makes sense you're going to distance yourself right now, but I thought that they were friends. And I thought that you could look at photos and disprove what Alex Sparrow just said. I thought that was a big thing for him to say.
I don't.
So listen to that. She said, when I heard that, I thought, whoa, I thought they were friends. So now she's gone into, maybe they weren't friends. I thought that they were friends, but you know what? Maybe they weren't friends. I thought that we could disprove it. But maybe they weren't. Do you see where I'm going with this, guys? Let me know in the comment section if you see what I'm seeing. That's just the first one. So she voices what we're thinking, and then she settles on, well, maybe they weren't friends. Huh? And in this thought process, you don't even consider that maybe the lawyer is talking absolute crap. You don't consider that for a minute. Like, that is not a logical thing that you would work through. Like, naturally, none of them get to hit on the point that maybe the lawyer is lying. None of them. Don't you think that's a bit convenient? They voice our thoughts, but never do any of them mention that maybe the lawyer is lying about them being friends. They all come back to, well, I guess that's reasonable. It's not reasonable. It's not reasonable that you watch someone be best mates with someone for years and years and years and years, and then suddenly the lawyer comes out and tells you they were just associates. That's not reasonable thinking. But according to all 4 or 5 or how many of these people in the room, this is reasonable behavior. This is a reasonable way to think. Let's keep going.
I don't know. I never thought about it, to be honest with you.
I thought they were.
So he never thought about it.
I thought that was a big thing for him to say.
I don't know. I never thought about it, to be honest with you.
I thought they were friends, but like you said, I don't know the inside and outside of their lives, but I thought they were friends. But like you said, I take a picture with a lot of people. Do I consider them friends? Do they come to my house? Do they come over for Thanksgiving? Do they know my kids? Do they know my parents?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. We do take pictures a lot, and in this industry, you see the same people over and over again, so you do. So I would assume that they are, but once you break it down like that, maybe they not. Maybe
Wayne just called Kendrick and said
congratulations. Normalizing it. It's like, oh, well, maybe they weren't friends. I saw them at industry functions. They were tight as thieves. They were saying all of these things. Look, even if they weren't friends and they were just doing it for the cameras, this was our understanding of them being friends. We understood them as being friends. So you can't then turn around and try to dismantle that and tell us, well, no, they were just doing it for the cameras. That is not acceptable, my friend. No, we're not doing that. What we saw is what we saw. You got to work with what we saw. That's it. Start there and you do your defense. Don't start gaslighting and telling us what we saw was something else. because it was just like work that they were doing. No, we saw them as best friends. So you start your defense from them being best friends and go from there. Whether it was true or not, that's what we understand it to be. Nobody's saying this.
Congratulations, you better kill it.
That's crazy.
And do not like us twice.
My friend can't do that.
Y'all know how I feel about friends. I feel like, you can't just throw around the word friend. Like, a friend means it's your confidence, somebody that you can go and sleep over their house. You can run, you can't say a friend. You can say associate in the industry or in the business. But if we never knew them to be friends, then we can't just assume that they were.
And why do
Again, if we never knew them to be friends, then we can't just assume. Is that what we were doing? We were assuming. We were assuming them to be friends. So unless we're sat in their living room with them, this is what they're saying. Unless we're sat in their living room with them, we have no business thinking that they're friends. This is what she just said. So we're getting gaslit and objection handled by by a very influential media outlet, basically. With this nonsense. Guys, tell me if I'm tripping, because I don't think I'm tripping about this. We're being gaslit and objection handled because they know that people are going to be like, what? That's crazy. So now they have to, what? That's crazy, but then smooth it over without saying or touching on the possibility that Jay-Z's lawyer could just be lying in order to distance himself from the situation. None of them have that conclusion. That's crazy. That is what's crazy to me. Listen some more.
we assume? We just the public on the outside looking in. How are we going to tell you, no, that's your friend. That's your friend.
I think it's just a perception thing. But honestly, I was thinking about
again more. We assumed it, and now we have no right to tell. We have no right to say that what we saw. We have no right to stand on what we saw with our own eyes. We can't do that because we don't know them personally. And like, are these people okay? Because this is what they're telling us. And there's logic to what they're saying in places, but what they're doing is telling us not to trust ourselves and then blaming us for assuming that they were friends, even though that is what has been fed to us for years and years and years. Yet none of these people are addressing that. No, it's our fault. Again, classic narcissistic abusive behavior and manipulative tactics being used here. Tell me if you've been in a relationship where that hasn't happened. With a narcissist or a toxic where that hasn't happened. I guarantee you it's happened at least once. When you've accused them of some stuff, or you've pulled them up on something. I guarantee you at least once they've told you that what you saw with your own eyes didn't actually happen. And you were just assuming and making it up and just figments of your imagination. I guarantee it. Guys, give this video a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But this is what they're doing as a group, as a collective.
like this, like if it is just a perception thing, if Busby even tries to hit back with like, oh, well, look at the photos, look at what Puff said remember that year at the Grammys and he talked about and Jay-Z was there, whatever. Yeah. It's just perception. That's same way, like it.
Again, objection handling. So now they're attacking Busby and saying, well, he doesn't even have a defense because at the end of the day, it's just perception. So he has no way of proving that they were friends. So it's totally acceptable that we understand that they weren't friends, even though that's what we saw. And if Busby tries to prove it, that none of that counts because it's just perception. So this woman, who's apparently just neutral, has totally discredited Busby's argument even before he's made it. But apparently she's neutral. Yeah, she's just having a conversation. Don't you think that's convenient, guys? Don't you think that's convenient? All of this to me is worrying behavior. This is coming from the outlets because I'm always looking at what's happening around the situation, not just in the situation, but around the situation to help me to determine what is BS and what is not. And this is very worrying to me because why are these people on such a mission as a collective, media-wise, to paint, reframe, and regurgitate and gaslight us into believing things even against our own eyes? Dangerous work, guys. Dangerous work. But let's keep listening.
You can argue his perception. And plus, we got a lot of other things to worry about because the way that they broke this down, timeline, it really doesn't make sense. So I'm interested to see what Busby's response is.
Perception is not reality. Like, you ain't never been hunting a day in your life. But you're killing with that Duck Dynasty fit.
Baby.
I'm from South Carolina, so I love the Duck Dynasty fit. Okay?
That's true. Perception is not reality. But if you get the perception for a long enough period of time, who do you have to blame for that perception being given? They gave us that perception. Now that is our reality. End of story. You can't then twist it around and be like, well, actually, that's like... let me just keep going. Guys, give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.
I didn't know where you was going.
It's not deer hunting season anymore, but you're still killing it.
But also, I mean, we see
day in your life, and look at you.
We also seen Puff say, you know, my brother Jay-Z, this is my brother, we're brothers. So when you hear that term, it makes people assume that you guys are closer than just associates.
And maybe it's just like my brother in the business.
Everybody needs to stop throwing that brother sister thing around so much.
Sleep over. You ain't sleeping.
So him using the word brother also doesn't mean anything anymore. He just threw it around. Are you hearing what I'm hearing? The gaslighting and the objection handling going on. Run it back again, guys, if you missed it. All of that objection handling, all of our thoughts being voiced for us and then disproven, dismantled with all of these things to just basically tell us, don't believe your own eyes. That's your fault. If you thought they were friends, that's your fault. You should never believe that. You don't know these people. It's crazy that the lawyer would even bring that up. It's such a solid point of history between them. Why would you even go into it if not to destabilize the public? Because if you can't believe that, you then can't really believe anything, and then you're open. This is what abusers do. This is what narcissists do. This is how they end up manipulating you. They destabilize you first with things like that, things you think you know. I'm pretty sure that that's that. And they tell you, no, it's not. And then they start this perception nonsense. And then you start doubting yourself. And then they are open to feed you whatever nonsense they want after that point. That is what's happening here. This is the destabilization process. So then when they come with other things that don't make no sense, you'll be like, well, maybe, because they then present it in a way in which you're already doubting yourself, remember? Sound like, well, maybe that could be it, even though that goes against everything I understand it to be. This is how they do it, guys. This is how they do it. Disgusting, nasty work, and they've got the media. It isn't just the lawyer just saying this. All the media outlets are backing it up. This is what I mean by the powerhouse's wheels are already in motion and have been this whole time. They're still talking about her lying, even though there's plausible case for her not actually lying, but that's still circulating in the media right now. All the stuff about him, you know, Busby having proof that he's paying people, Jay-Z's paying people to lawsuits against him. Where's this information from CNN and all the main outlets? Did you hear anything from those outlets about this? Let me know in the comments if you heard anything from these mainstream news outlets about this. Bear in mind, this is all coming out about Busby and the his accusations against Jay-Z, but they're here on the Breakfast Club talking about whether the fact that they weren't ever friends, and that's our fault for thinking that. Come on, guys. Tell me you can see this. Now, whether he's guilty or innocent, we don't know. I believe her. I believe the victim. It's my business, my job, and it's my passion to support victims until there's concrete evidence to suggest otherwise. Now, I thought that I got to that point after the interview, but then when I looked at Tisa Tell's thing and saw what things happened a couple years later and understood that that could be viable, I'm now back on the fence of like, well, yeah, I'm still back in the victim and alleged victim at this time, because that's not concrete evidence, right? It's still a gray area. And the fact that they're doing all of these things to kind of discredit, disprove, attack, and intimidate, to me, further supports her case. To me. They got all the media outlets talking absolute crap, bending themselves into literal pretzels in order to support his nonsense, to me, supports the fact that she's actually telling the truth. They're accusing the lawyer of not being a nice person or being an abuser, and that is relevant stuff. However, it's not relevant to the case of whether you essayed this woman, this girl, this underage girl. It's not relevant to that. So again, I need you to actually defend yourself against the allegations, my friend. Because all of this smoke and mirrors media circus thing that you're doing, we've seen it before and it's happening again. Crazy, nasty work. Those are my thoughts about this. Let me know yours in the comments and subscribe to my channel if you like the content, and hit that bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. Now, a few things have happened, a few updates. My company, the Live More Academy, have now released the first of its kind app. So you have everything you need on the app to be able to recover from the abuse, break free from the abuse, recover from the abuse, recover from the trauma, and step into your power, like really, really step into that sense of empowerment. Get into all of that from your phone. You can also access my support, my therapeutic support group from your phone. This is revolutionary, guys. I'm super excited about it. First of its kind. Get into it, download it. I'm gonna put, I don't even think I had time to put the link in the description box, but the link will be there in a few moments for you to download and access any programs, any therapeutic support, and all of that good stuff. I am so excited. The merch will be out on the 1st of January. If you're part of the community, you would have seen the merch. The merch is designed to support each other, uplift each other, spread an empowering message, one woman to another, and also support victims of SA, DV, and the trafficking, right? All of that stuff happening with the merch. So excited. I feel truly blessed. Guys, give this video a thumbs up. Let YouTube know you like it. Let me know your thoughts about what I've said here. Even if you disagree, even if you think that he's innocent, that is fine. I'm just saying what I'm seeing from the point of view of manipulation and from the point of view of the media. Because here, I can see a lot of toxic, narcissistic, and abusive behaviors going on. We're not really defending ourselves here, Jay-Z. We're not. Okay, smoke and mirrors, a lot of smoke and mirrors. Those are my thoughts about that. And until next time, live boldly, live empowered, live from the inside out. Bye for now.